Jeff, frickin' what a trip, man.
Glad to have you. It's been a long time.
Oh my God, but that was just an amazing trip for so many reasons. First of all, let's talk about the weather. You and I were chatting maybe 4 days ago, and we were talking about Cortez Bank and those big yellows, and I was just drooling, man. You know, big, great yellows, and we were not gonna go because of the weather.
And then you saw the forecast.
Yeah, and it looked like crap. It looked like crap. And then I get down to the landing, and you say, dude, come here. The Indy had 177 yellows, and I want to go out there. I think we can make it. What do you think? And I said, hell yeah, let's do it. What went into that decision process?
Honestly, the logic in my mind behind that was our best window of opportunity was going to be the morning of day one. I knew we were going to take it on the chin either way, so we may as well go where the best opportunity is, and at that point everything is downhill. Not only our ride, but literally the trip is downhill from there. If you catch, obviously, instead of beating ourselves up for 2 days driving around looking for a kelp or trying to find a bluefin. Either way, we got to spend the night in the cove. It was our sanctuary, and we still got to be in the tuna grounds first thing the next morning.
And the plan worked out. We did get our asses kicked.
We got our asses kicked. We're just, by the way, for everybody who's watching this, we're just through with 48 hours of getting our asses kicked.
So we're in pretty good spirits for getting our asses kicked, but we got out there, and there's 2 Cadillacs out there. The Independence is there, and who was it? The Red Rooster?
Andy on the Rooster.
And us. And the little boat out there. And when we first got there, we started scratching our head. In fact, you and I were talking like, this is not as advertised, right?
Not as advertised. No, it was really awkward conditions in the morning for that particular spot area where we were fishing. It was almost the opposite type of current of what you want to see normally. Luckily, we waited it out. There was a few times where I was thinking, hey, let's fire it up and go looking, and I thought better of it, knowing only because of the volume of fish that had been there that we'd give it a college effort, give it a chance to, and as you all saw, when the current swung the opposite direction and went the way we wanted it to go, that fish turned on really quickly.
Oh man, that light switch frickin' went on. I was fishing 100-pound yo-yo, and to me, there's just nothing better, man. I mean, very little drag they pull, and to some people that sounds not very sportsmanlike, but I freaking love it.
That's very sportsmanlike.
I love fishing that, so I was having fun with that, man.
When you're fishing the yo-yo, especially over structure in deeper water, you want to fish heavy line. Your yo-yo iron and light line do not go hand in hand. And you saw my frustration a few times on the trip with guys with this lighter line stuff. You're fishing offshore for this bigger game fish. In my humble opinion, that light line doesn't have a place. I mean, there are time and a place for everything. When fish gets picky or finicky, obviously you drop down in line size. But I would never start there.
I agree.
You start
backing off,
and then you start backing off. But especially yo-yo fishing or jig fishing, you want to fish heavier line.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were biting the 100-pound and a yo-yo jig.
And they were biting the bait, and it fired up and really started to get with the program there, right?
Yeah, that was good fishing. Really good fishing. Quality was great. The pace of the bite was great. Everybody, as far as I know, I heard at least 3 guys say personal best, and out of those 3, I think 2 of them broke their personal best on the same day.
I swear to God, I had one guy, with his personal best. I think it was Josh Selfridge, who flew in from Texas for this trip. He got his personal best, and then the next one he goes, I got a new PB. So those fish, what was the grade, would you say?
I would call those fish 15 to 35 pounds.
Yep, that's what I would say.
Probably 20 to 25 being your average.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same.
A few under and a few over, yeah.
And if you're fishing bait, what do you recommend for tackle? We already know the yo-yo.
Fishing yellowtail when you're on the bank like that, knowing your fishing structure, as we just said, start heavy, go lighter if you need to. That's 40-pound, 50-pound material. I had no problem yesterday. I hook and handed several fish. 50-pound, not even fishing fluoro, by the way. 50-pound tests. I had no problem getting a bite. I handed several fish off to guys who were struggling a little bit. And if I couldn't bid on 50, I would drop to 40.
Yeah.
If you can't get bit on 40, drop to 30. You go anything with that, you're walking a wire at that point. Like, you might start losing fish to structure.
And when you fish that heavy string, I mean, part of the key is taking your freaking time at the bait tank and choosing a hot bait, right? That is so important.
We say it over and over again. It was funny, I pulled up next to Jeff on the Thunderbird today. We were close on that one school we split up, and I heard him get on his PA and say the same thing, and I made a comment to my crew member up here. I go, we all just ought to have recordings because we all say the same thing. We say the same thing over and over again, and it's on every sport boat on the coast. Choose a hot bait. I get it. There's a lot of guys that are first timers. They don't understand. But for guys that have been doing this, go to the hand well, take your time, pick a good bait. It really, especially fishing bluefin or a touchy yellowtail bite, might be the difference between you getting a bite or not getting a bite. So taking your time at the hand wells.
Is that pretty common to get that kind of a bite at this time of the year on the bank? I know that's a fall bite out there usually, but
traditionally fall. But what do we know? Every time we think we have something figured out, the playbook changes. So, it's going into August. I wouldn't say unusual.
No.
Maybe a little early, I guess, by normal standards. But
just about like that, right?
Every time we think we've got something figured out, something new happens.
Exactly. And we did catch a couple of bluefin on the pick too, didn't we?
We did. We got a couple bluefin, and we saw a few splash around, which is not unusual for that spot. And I wouldn't say unusual for an August bite on either of the banks out there to catch that grade of bluefin on the anchor. We didn't see it really too much last year, but they definitely make their visits.
Yeah, they do. So we got finished out there, I think 52 yellows, or what was it? 53?
I believe we ended with 53 yellowtail yesterday, and Lord knows how many we went through.
Oh my God!
But it was we saw tremendous volume, and it was good fishing.
Oh, it was great
fishing for everybody.
Then we went to Pyramid Cove, spent a lovely, peaceful night, man. You finally got some sleep, I'll bet, right?
Can I get a handshake on that one?
Yeah, man, I know, no shit. We just got hammered.
That might have been my best move of the whole trip.
Yeah, I know, that was great. And we puttered out of there this morning, and it was pretty nasty again, wasn't it?
It was a little sloppy this morning, not very user friendly, but did lay down a little bit. I think it was getting its second wind, because this certainly was not a pleasant ride home today. We waited to do this at the very end, but it was not a pleasant ride home. A lot of fish. You saw.
Oh my God! There was some jags of fish that were up and just ripping up the bait, and that was exciting stuff, wasn't it?
That was very exciting. It's visual, especially for the guys. And I've always said, those fish were biting fish, but a lot of times, and everybody knows how bluefin fishing can be, where you spend a lot of time and you may get only a couple of fish for the trip. But from an operator standpoint, at least when it's up and it's visual like that, everybody knows they had a fair shot at that fish.
Yeah.
Now it happened to be on the bite, and that's great. We actually got our limits for today on bluefin, and it was a nice grade of fish. But when it's visual like that, to me, it makes it that much more exciting than say if you're pulling up on a meter mark and dropping a rubber band, a sinker rig down 30 fathoms to get a bite. It's pretty neat when everybody can see it up feeding and exploding on the baits.
It just gets the excitement level on the boat to another level, doesn't it? I mean, everybody down there, when you roll up on one of those things and it's moving toward the bow, everybody is excited, man.
It never stops. It doesn't cease to be exciting. I don't care how many times you've seen it. I guess if I stop getting excited by that, then I probably should find something else to do.
That is so true. You said the grade was excellent. What was the grade? What you say?
I would call these fish 30 to 40 pounders that we caught today. Very catchable, manageable. Pull string, nice grade of fish that you don't have to get all the technical gear out for. You can still catch them on your standard rod and reel. Again, I threw a bait today and I got bit on 50 pound with that, and I think a lot of guys were fishing 40. Wouldn't call it line shy, but I wouldn't call those things overly aggressive either.
Right.
They weren't coming to the corner and biting everything we threw at them. You definitely had to, again, that's where you have to pick a bait. You have to pick a bait that swims and will get out away from the boat. A lot of times you'll cast your bait out and it'll either swim back or you get no movement out of it. And I think that's where it really, you have to be disciplined enough to wind it in and change it frequently.
Yes.
Not every 5 minutes. If I throw a bait and it's not swimming, I'm winding it and changing it every 30 seconds.
Damn right.
Because it makes a difference, especially when that fish is on you. You may have a very limited window of bite time when you slide on a spot that's not sticking with the boat. You know, we throw bait on those things, meter them, you hang a few, and it kind of swims away from you.
Yeah.
So your window of bite time could be, not always, but on some spots like they were today, you may have a 2 or 3 minute window where that stuff's hanging with the boat, and then it's gone. So if you better use that 2 or 3 minutes very wisely.
Absolutely. And when you hook your bait, what do you like? What technique do you like?
It depends on conditions.
Yeah.
I nose hook the bait today. I know a lot of guys like to, you know, collar hook them, or you can hook them in the back or butt hook them. It really depends. If the baits are hot and they're swimming, I personally like to nose hook them. If you're having like a no condition kind of day, which means no current, no breeze, and the boat's really not drifting along, and you need to get your bait out away from the boat, then, you know, you butt hook them and get them to swim down. Just depends on conditions and what the bait is like and what it's doing.
And if you have a little trouble, new guy has a little trouble casting, you want to get the wind in your face, don't you?
Yes.
You do not want to be on the other side of the boat.
The standard protocol for offshore fishing, you know, and you see a lot of guys try to cut the line, cut in line all the time. It's like, whichever way a guy stops the boat, and I'm not saying this boat, but any boat you're on, the boat's going to drift with the wind. The guy in the tank's going to be chumming on the downwind corner. You want to throw your bait on the downwind corner and slide around. It's almost like a rotation of a line. You end up in the bow, you don't get bit, go back to the stern, shake your bait off, pin a new one on, cast in the corner, and then walk away. It's like a single file line that just keeps moving, a conveyor belt. And if everybody moves and works together that way, things go a lot smoother. I mean, obviously when fish are biting, it gets a little more pandemonious, but such is life.
I know.
We like we like chaos, controlled chaos.
We talked about bait. How about iron? Is it effective on these bluefin?
Yeah, those cold snipers were getting bit today.
Yeah.
Flat falls, everybody knows the flat fall, which is probably one of the dumbest inventions that anybody ever made, but it sure works.
Yeah.
I mean, they work, and they sure keep, they should have named them the sleep thieves, because it kept every operator awake all night, 24 hours a day for the last couple of years.
They bite it
They bite them at nighttime. But yeah.
And we talked about the greater fish, but there is also running around here at Clemente and that area around there. There's some big
there's some
fish.
big
We
fish.
slid on.
There are some big fish. There.
Okay. Oh, dude, these are the wrong ones, Jeff.
Sure, you guys are fishing appropriately. You guys look like bigger fish here.
Oh man.
Leave those bass reels in the rod rack.
There are some. I mean, I think if you want to put the time in on the big ones and fish the kite and things like that, you know, or flat falling, whatever, there are some 200 plus pound fish to be had. I know there are. They've been caught, and then we've seen them. So, you know, particularly I would say for our situation and our scenario, what we had today was optimal for our tackle, our group, etc.
Yeah.
I think you'd agree.
Yes.
If you wanted to put the time in and skip a flying fish all day, I think you could definitely connect with a big one.
Yeah.
It's just you got to put your time in.
Jeff, this was our Friedman Adventures. That's the new thing we're doing because I'm working with my kids. This was our first trip. It couldn't have been a better one. Tell us a little bit about the Amigo. You just took this boat over and we loved it. In fact, I'm pretty sure the kids and the people on board want me to walk up to the landing when we get in and book our next trip.
Well, that's what we want. So I'm not new, obviously, to sport boats, and I'm not new to the charter business. You know, we have several other boats. You know, with the Freedom, I've been on there for the last few years, and you know, the open party run, and we've got that pretty well established at this point. And I was hoping to get back into the charter side of things because I enjoy it a little more. So the Amigo is a 62-foot charter boat. It's designed for charter fishing mostly. We do open party trips to fill in the gaps, especially this being our first year with the boat. So myself, Mark Paisano is my partner in this. You know Mark very well.
Oh yeah.
Mark owns the landing as well as several other boats. We found the boat, we liked it. It was the right size, kind of the right deal type of thing. It all came together. But 15 to 18 passenger charter boats, a fiberglass hull, which was a huge selling point for us because, as you can see, the boat takes the weather pretty well.
It took it really good.
It takes it really well. And you know, we redid the bunk room this year. We put a stateroom in the boat, and you know, eventually here we're going to redo the whole galley, and we're just put in RSW and all of that stuff. So, for a 15 to 18 passenger group, it's a optimal boat, optimal size boat.
It was tremendous. I mean, the ride was great. Your crew is fantastic. Food was great. We had such a good time. And you know, the biggest compliment I can give you is, and I gave it to you 20 years ago, was trusting my kids to you. And I did that when you were running the Spitfire. I would drop my kids off, and I would have no worries that they were in good hands when they were with you. And so that's the kind of relationship you and I have.
Yeah, and I miss you being around and the history that we have. I mean, this obviously isn't our first fishing trip together, and you know, I'm glad you guys are doing this, especially for them. And it was fun, and I hope we have more of it. And watching the kids grow up and the experiences we've had over the years fishing, and you know, you watching me grow old and me watching you grow skinny. We've had so many different things, you know, and it's cool to have everybody out. We had a great time, and you know, I appreciate you guys being here, and we're trying to promote the boat and the business. We'd like this to get to the point in the next year or two where the charter business is self-contained, and I think it will. The boat's nice. People, so far the feedback we've gotten, people really seem to like the boat. And everything, you know, that I've done with my partners, with our other boats, you know, we make them, we put in a lot of work to make our boats, keep our equipment nice.
Jeff, awesome trip, my friend. Thanks again for everything. We had a great time.
Thank you.
We'll see you on a trip really soon again.
I hope so. Let's go do it.